I didn't realize it that most people don't like it when I go, oh yeah! I don't know. Whatever. Hey guys, welcome to Mirror Domains. And today we are going to be talking about the worst movies of 2023. Yes, the worst movies. Now guys, this is going to be a fairly informal thing. I'm not going to have a whole lot of fancy graphics over here that'll show you like the countdown numbers and all that and stuff. But I do have it ranked, and I do have all the movies that I've seen for 2023 just listed in the description box down below there. You get to see all 95 of them. So here's what's going to happen today. We're going to do the worst movies now, and then this afternoon we'll do the best of horror for 2023 in the afternoon after I have my lunch and go for my walk. And then tomorrow we'll go and do the best of, because somehow I'm still on the fourth day through trying to get through Maestro. So I don't know if that's going to end up on the best list, but I'm struggling to get through it. It's not going to be on the worst list though, so let's get into it. Let's start off with some honorable mentions. All right, so how's this going to work, James? Well, we're going to talk about my first honorable mention, Meg 2. Now, guys, I know this will be on the list for a lot of other people out there, but you know what? I went to see this in the theater with my older brother, and it is what it is, guys. It's schlocky, over the top kind of nonsense, and that's what you're signing up for, right? You're signing up for schlocky nonsense. Now, you'll see a movie coming up later on where I'll say the same thing, that's schlocky, but it's not trying to be schlocky. It's trying to be serious. So it earned rather quickly a fast way onto my top 10 list. All right. What else are going to be wanting to see on the list? The Flash movie. Oh yeah, because we don't like Ezra Miller, right? Yeah, no, that's oddly enough not going to be on my worst list, although it definitely has a case with those visual effects. But Michael Keaton's Batman was back in it, and I loved it for that, and I want to watch it simply because of that. But I agree with everybody else. The CGI in it was terrible. It was awful. I don't know what the heck they were smoking or thinking. Andy Muschietti has proven on a couple of points that he does not work well with visual effects. But he's going to be handed over the new Batman movie in the new DCU. But I just wanted to show you guys, hey, that's one of the reasons why The Flash will not be appearing on this list. Another popular movie that's appearing on other people's lists is 65 with Adam Driver. He gets marooned on a planet with dinosaurs. He finds a little girl, as a survivor of some kind of, he was like a tanker kind of thing, right? He was transporting people in cryostasis. They crashed on this planet. She was one of the people that awakened. Interesting premise, really badly executed. I'm going to spoil it now for you guys who have not seen it. A T-Rex gets stabbed with a bone in the head from somebody who should not be able to pull off a feat like that. It was just so laughable in the middle of the theater. I was just like, for God's sakes. Oh, geez. H mercy. Yep. 65. Honorable mention, and one final honorable mention that I think because you know that I love horror. I do. I like horror movies. It's just the Boogeyman was not good, man. The Boogeyman was actually awful. It's not scary, and it's just kind of like the plot's all over the place. They don't pull the big punch that the short story was based on, right? This was based on a Stephen King short story, and there's like a reveal, a twist to it that would have worked on the big screen, but they didn't pull that punch, and it was kind of like, well, we're just left with the silly CGI kind of monstrosity that's, ugh. And when you see the creature in this, they marry like practical effects into it, but it's kind of like the practical effects of it. It's just like really 1980s low budget Roger Corman style visual effects, and it was a shame. It was a real shame. Rashik Chungwal says, how bad was Rebel Moon? Well, we'll get to Rebel Moon. That is on the list. That's one of the most disappointing movies of the year for sure. And hey, I'm just getting through my honorable mentions. So let's get into the top 10 here, guys. Ah, number 10. It's going to be starting off with horror. We're talking about horror. Number 10 for me is The Exorcist Believer. Yes, The Exorcist Believer was not a good movie. I know that a lot of people liked them trying to re-energize this property, but the script was awful. It was all over the place. And it was kind of like, what are you doing here? And then, yeah, Ellen Burstyn comes back in this one, and it was just like, that was a waste. It's laughable. Like, if you didn't know that it was supposed to be horror, and you're watching the big final climax of this movie where these girls are convulsing in the chair and their voices change, and it's like, we've seen this before. It's not really scary. Wait, what are you doing there? Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's awful. But again, and one of the reasons why I want this on the list is because this is a prime example of failing upwards in Hollywood. The director, David Gordon Green, who did Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, directed this one as well. And he hasn't directed very good movies. I didn't like Halloween Ends. I don't like Exorcist Believer. But because of the brand recognition, they made $100 million plus. So Exorcist Believer is sort of a success. But that's what I mean by failing upwards. It's kind of like, well, no, this guy's not a good director. He doesn't seem to understand story pacing or anything like that. Maybe he's good at driving the machine, but it was terrible. It was yeah. That's a good way to start us off for the number 10 spot. And I'm not the only one that didn't like it. Critics didn't like it. Audiences, for some reason, despite everybody saying that it's not a good movie, people went out and saw it in droves, and so much to the point that, yeah, it made $100 million at the box office. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I want to pull my hair out, guys, what's the reason for me to sit up here and review movies? So I'm trying to warn you to stay away from the bad ones, or, at least, well, anyway, you didn't heed my advice. So that's number 10. Number 10. Let's go to number 9. Number 9. I just talked about Meg 2, and now we are going to be talking about my 9th one, Fast 10. Now, I said this in my straight out of the theater reaction for it, that, it's just big, dumb fun. Yeah, okay, I get it. But when you listen to the way that Vin Diesel talks about it, no, this is supposed to be serious. This is on par with Shakespeare. Remember those quotes? That this is supposed to be rivaling Lord of the Rings trilogy kind of thing, right? This is how epic it is. So this is where I want to draw the line. The difference between Meg 2 and Fast 10 is that Meg 2 knew that it was going to be like this big, silly fun of like, yeah, Jason Statham kicks a shark, they fight an octopus. Yeah, it's silly. We know that going in. But Fast 10, Vin Diesel wanted you to take it seriously. He wanted you to think that there was some serious drama going behind the scenes and stuff, like driving these characters' motivations. And you end your big movie with a CGI schlockfest of a car driving down a dam, and it's kind of like, that's it was like pulling teeth. And then, of course, they did one of the big, fatal, tragic mistakes that a lot of movies these days are doing. Oh, it's big. It's climactic. It's part 1. This is just part 1. Credits. It's like, I want to watch a full movie, guys, where I don't have to end with part 1. I want it, like, if it's going to be 2 parts, fine, but still put us at a spot where it's kind of like, this is a distinctive end that it could be watched on its own, right? Rishik says that they're trying to milk The Exorcist now. Yeah, we're gonna get the sequels for it for sure. There's no denying that. We're gonna get those sequels for sure. So, was I alone with Fast 10 being at the 9th spot? No, critics didn't like it, but the audience did. As I said, it's just big dumb fun, and there's an audience for it. It gave. It didn't do well at the box office either, guys. It made close to its production budget back, which was like $375 million, which is not good. So it had to make like $700 million plus to break even, and it barely got there. So I don't see how the studio greenlights Fast 10.2 or Fast 11 for $370 million if it's going to come back. Like, the trajectory of it's going down. It's going down, and people are slowly. I think people have the majority of people have caught on that they're not good movies, man. Why is this movie 2 hours and 30 minutes? For God's sakes, no. Yeah. So I'm done harping on it. Yeah. I gave up on Fast Saga long back when the trilogy ended. Or she said, yeah. Number 9 was unwatchable, terrible. It was just like, what are you doing here? There was a bit of hope that with Momoa coming back on for number 10, that they would be able to breathe life back into this thing. But somebody said it best. There's too many characters in here, and like, we don't need Tyrese and Ludacris in this story at all anymore. Why are we wasting time with them? Because the story is about Dom. The story is about Jason Momoa. Keep it focused in on that. If Tyrese and Ludacris and all those other people don't come back in the sequel, that's fine with me, because that's not the story that we're following. We're following Dom and Vin Diesel. Keep it on that. Keep the Ludacris and like all of those side characters, like the 11 side characters, keep them out. That's it. That's done. All right. Where are we at? Number 8. Number 8. Guys, it breaks my heart to say this, but when I was putting this list together, Joaquin Phoenix is on 2 of these poor lists. And we'll start off with the first one at number 8. Ooh, do I need to even say more? Do I need to even say more now? You guys know what this movie is? This movie is called Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster, the creator of Hereditary and Midsommar. This was basically, the studios gave him a bunch of money, final cut, and said, go make your movie, man. Go make your movie. Okay, I'm going to deliver a 3-hour opus that, once again, goes all over the place. It has some brilliant ideas, and I do believe that there is a good movie in here. It just takes 2 hours and 20 minutes to get to that movie, where it's kind of like, I liked the part when he gets finally to his destination and he has this big, long conversation with his mother and stuff like that. It takes too many side quests to get there, and it's totally muddled. And what the heck is going on in the end with the big arena sequence that's supposed to be like, I get it. I get artsy-fartsy stuff. There's artsy-fartsy stuff that appears on my top 10 list. Guys, I'm on board with it. I have no problem with the weird abstract storytelling. But Ari Aster delivered a dud with this one for me. It starts off interesting, has a big section of about 1 hour and 50 minutes that's kind of like boring, and then it gets to the part where he talks with his mother and stuff, and there's like this is weird family that shows up in the middle. Are they drinking bleach, or what the heck's going on here, man? It's just like, did that serve any purpose? Did that drive the story forward? No, it did not. So am I the only one that thinks this? Bifer says Beau is Afraid is on his top 10 favorite movies list. He tried to make Forrest Gump 2, Rishik says. Critics were, it's not certified fresh. It's in the middle of the tier for me. But I think for me, was because I am an Ari Aster fan. And I'm a big Joaquin Phoenix fan. To see it kind of like not come together. This is a good example of a movie not quite coming together, right? It's got all these great ideas. It's got all the right ingredients. But it needed an edit, man. And it needed an edit where where Ari Aster would not have a lot. He'd see his, a big portion of the film cut out and not be there. Rishik says that A24 just produces the most random dramas. Yeah, but it's just, well, it is what it is. All right, so where are we at? That was number 8. Number 7. Well, I said Joaquin Phoenix, guys. Joaquin Phoenix appears once again for Napoleon Ooh, yes. Again, with a 2 hour. Now, this one is a little bit shorter, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Well, only another 30 minutes shorter, whatever. 58% by critics, 59 by the audience. And, you know, I was playing this game over the holidays where it was a trivia game. And it was like, who was the king of Italy during this time period? And I got it wrong. And it was Napoleon. The answer to the question was Napoleon. And I was like, I just saw the movie. But the problem with this movie and why it didn't absorb into me was because the movie was told in like bullet points. It was kind of like, okay, this is happening. There's no real dramatic narrative going on here. It's just, this is this battle. Here's this battle. Oh, here he is with Josephine. Oh, he's getting dressed down by Josephine. He acts a little bit weird, kind of thing. For me, I'll tell you, I didn't care about the accents. I know that was a point of contention for some people. Oh, he sounds like he's from Brooklyn or something like that. Whatever. I didn't really care about that. The historical inaccuracies. I know that this is being picked apart by historians and saying, but it's kind of like I wanted them to be a little bit more focused than just having it kind of like the Cole's notes. Like that was the best review for this. This is just like the Cole's notes history of the events that happened in Napoleon. I wanted to see a little bit more of kind of like the poisoning of him towards the end, like who was doing it, or like was there something a little bit more to this? A good example of this is the Ferrari movie that just came out here in December. That was dangerously close to coming along the same kind of pitfalls that Napoleon did, where I'm talking about just kind of like the bullet points of his life kind of thing. But at least with Ferrari, they did a good job of building this structure of infidelity and the repercussions of infidelity of what Ferrari was doing. Like he had a kid with somebody else, but then they married that well with what the drivers were going through with Ferrari, of him being strict on them, him like saying, oh, push it to the floor and put your lives on the line, make them make the mistake kind of thing. And the drivers going into this mentality of like, we're all in, we're putting our lives on the line. And it's kind of like that too with his life with Ferrari. I wanted something like that with Napoleon, that like there was some other stakes going on in behind his eyes here that we as an audience could attach to. Yes, some of the scenes were shot cool, but it was kind of like, it was a mixture of letdown, of kind of like, yeah, that's not a good movie, man. It was just, I can't recommend it. I don't want to go back to it. I don't want to revisit it. All right, this one's going to knock a lot of people off the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, this one's not going to be favorable for a lot of people. People are not going to like this one, I believe. So we are at number 6. Napoleon was number 7. Number 6 is from one of my favorite directors, and it's a shame because it's also one of my favorite actors. Can you guess from this image? The director is David Fincher, and the movie, The Bullet, is Michael Fassbender in The Killer. Again, this was a movie that was long, and again, it had some good ideas in here, but it was just kind of like, at the end of the day, it didn't really say anything really meaningful. It was kind of like, okay, I get it. But when we did our full watch along for this, I was here during the full Killer watch along. It was like 24 minutes of him in this room, establishing that, yeah, he's meticulous. Yeah, he's patient. Yeah, he describes the world and life of being a contract killer as being one of discipline. Okay, we get it. But for the first 24 minutes, that's what we're doing with him, is just sitting in a room. And I understand that he's trying to build tension and stuff with that, but it was kind of like, this is boring. People dying, and it's kind of like, well, there's no stakes in it because I don't really care about what's going on. Again, and it goes back to, hey, I'm sorry. Yes, I was disappointed in this film, and because of that disappointment, it earns the number 6 spot on my list. It was too long, and I don't think I was the only one that felt this way. 85% by critics, so critics liked it a lot more, but the audience not so much. For me, it was just like, yeah, dull. And you bring in Tilda Swinton to have this big monologue. That's all she's in there for. Really? James, you just don't understand it. It's neo-noir, James. Don't you know that? Neo-noir? Well, hey, I like noir films. I got no problem with that. In fact, we're going to be talking about a noir film when we do my best list. James, please tell me you're not going to put Marlowe on your top 10 list. It's not going to be on my top 10 list, but I do want to address Marlowe because this one got panned by critics and fans. And this Marlowe should be appearing on some people's worst list, but this is a noir film. We knew that it was going to be noir. So that means that the story structure is different. The pacing is different. The editing style is different. Now, if you told me that that was supposed to be the case for The Killer going in, I guess, was it? But it was lacking. It just felt flat. There. That's what I want to articulate with what I felt about The Killer. It was just flat, and that bummed me out, man. That bummed me out. I like The Killer for the fact that it wasn't a classic Fincher with twisted storyline. It was just pure linear movie about a killer out for revenge. Well, that point is well taken, Rishik. It's just for me. Hey, it didn't work. All right, we're about halfway through here, guys. We're to that was number 6. So if you like this kind of thing, come join us here on Mirror Domains. What else can you find here on the channel? Well, my reviews for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. That'll be on some people's worst list of the year for sure, right? Rebel Moon, full reactions up on the channel, as well as my review. Movie reviews for Poor Things and Wonka. Both really good movies. We watched the finale of Survivor Season 45, and we're in the midst, guys. Next week, this coming Friday, actually, it won't be until Friday evening that we'll be watching episode 11. Hell's Kitchen comes back. We'll be back watching full episodes of Hell's Kitchen, and of course, whoops, you guys just got a glimpse of my worst list there. Hey, you got a quick glimpse. So I'll put the full 10 list up here on the side when we're done. But if you like this kind of stuff, follow me on all the other social media handles right there, guys. You get to see behind the scenes stuff. And I'm going to try to continue watching Maestro today. That I'll put on my stories. Yeah. It's a hard watch. Maestro is a hard watch. I thought that I would like it. There's something about the way that he's acting. Bradley Cooper's acting. It's pulling me out of it because he talks in a different way with a different tone in his voice, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Tom Hardy seems to be a master of changing his voice. Bradley Cooper's trying to change his voice for Maestro, and it's not working for me. Anyway, it's not going to be on the worst list, but that's mostly because of Carey Mulligan. All right, number 5. Let's start off this. Now, I was gentler on this movie when it first came out, but then I sat with it afterwards, and I was like, "No, this is awful. This is terrible." And I like Danny DeVito in this movie. Can you guys guess what it is? Haunted Mansion. And I like Rosario Dawson, but my God, this was a monstrosity. I don't know. Maybe it would have been better received at Halloween if they brought it out, and I was like in the mood for okay. Yeah. I don't know why they keep on going back to this property. Lakeith Steinfeld was good in this, but everybody else was just like, and Danny DeVito, he was good. But like the story, the end with Jared Leto being the big top hat bad guy, you could tell that maybe they had fun making this, but that fun didn't translate to the screen. Oh, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, it seemed like the cast had good chemistry, but it was long. It was boring. And the ending was just kind of like one of those, you know how you write, or you go to like a high school play and it's got like one of those cheesy endings that wraps everything up into a nice little bow. This was kind of like that. But James, it's a kids movie, but it was just sappy and really poorly done. And why was it 2 hours, for God's sakes? 37% by critics, 84 by the audience. With number 5, The Haunted Mansion. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to lose sleep on this one. No one's going to rebut this one, right? This one is well deserved to be on my worst list, I think. A story that mainly serves as an excuse to publicize the attraction ride, from which countless details and characters are extracted. Yeah, it was a paycheck for some of them. But as I said, they looked like they had fun making it. It just didn't translate. And it was kind of like, why is this out in the beginning of summer? What are you doing here? Why is this out? Anyway, number 5, Haunted Mansion. Number 4 is a Shudder movie. Oh, are we going back to horror, James? Yes, we are. This is a movie that was stuck in kind of like purgatory for a while. It was in the can for like a year and a half or so. And it probably should have stayed in the can because it wasn't that good. It had potential. It was kind of creepy too with this little girl running the show. What is it, guys? Do you know what it is yet? Children of the Corn. Yes. Reboot. Requel, I guess. I don't know. This little girl was trying. She was trying to be menacing and stuff. But it was just kind of like towards the end, it was like, you're the adults. What are you doing? This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is laughable. Kurt Wimmer. It's a big waste of time. And it's like, oh yeah, the guy who plays Crossbones is in this. Um, is it Crossbones? Yeah, from the MCU, or yeah, he's in this. And it was just kind of like, what are you doing? No, you wouldn't do this. Yeah, you could overpower them. No, you can't. And then there's this big weird kind of monster kind of thing that's just, yeah. It was in purgatory for a while. It was sitting on the shelf, and it should have stayed on the shelf, right? 12% by critics, 38% by the audience. It truly, yeah, that's a stinker right there. And it's in my time frame wheelhouse at an hour and 32 minutes, but it was just awful. The Guardian says, boring and bland. What a shocker. The evil little girl gives a pretty solid performance in this terrible movie. Well, I think I said that in my review. Did I review this one? Yeah, guys, it was. Yeah. Inverse liked it, though. It could be a little bit bigger, a bit bolder, but this Children of the Corn is a marked improvement in quality from a number of entries that come before it. Yeah. Phew. Number 4. Children of the Corn. And I could have changed this one out with Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. But no, this one's worse. This one's worse by far. Children of the Corn. We'll talk about Pet Cemetery Bloodlines this afternoon when we talk about my horror, my favorite horror movies of 2023. Okay, so yeah, Children of the Corn. I think that one's deserved. We're going big. We're going big. Or are we going small for my number 3 pick? I think we're going small. And how small? Can you guys guess? This movie was played with a bunch of green screen stages, ones that I didn't like. It was a CGI schlockfest, nonsensical towards the end. And it was supposed to be the introduction of a big bad guy in the MCU that was supposed to be like the next Thanos. And this is a good example too. This movie was full of the just celebrity cameos that really didn't mean much. Why is like that detract from the essence of the story? Of course, we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This one was hard to sit through in the theater. And I don't again, for me, it was the big backgrounds. Like I thought that on the big screen, like this would look better. And I'll say this, I say this countless times when we're looking at matte paintings and stuff. Even on Star Wars, like Empire Strikes Back, when the AT walkers, AT walkers, are walking through the snow, you still in the background, because it's a matte painting of like the mountains and stuff. You still feel like um, you could still walk there, right? There's a tangibility to it, right? Um, that feels cool. Like you could actually walk back there. Where's the shot where I want to take a look at the ads here, so I can highlight my point here. Okay, here. See the background here. That's a matte painting back there, but it feels like you could actually walk back to that mountain if you put on your snow trunks and stuff like that, right? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. You look at this shot, and you don't feel like you can walk down to the end of this. I guess what is this path or walkway here? You don't feel like you can, because you feel like you're just walking to the green screen. It doesn't feel tangible, and that's what's wrong with the CGI matte paintings these days. But that's just one of the many reasons why this movie doesn't work. The other big reason is just the story. It's kind of like, okay, they get sucked into the quantum realm, fine, but it's kind of like they get separated. It's got this weird kind of like political structure going on down there, where Kang should be menacing, but he gets beaten by Ant-Man. Ant-Man of all things. This, okay, for us comic book fans and the MCU fans, we've before this, we knew that the MCU was kind of like it was going down. It was it was falling in its kind of like quality, right? But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania put it on the map for, I think, the majority of casual movie fans that, what the heck is this, right? Now, the score doesn't reflect that here. 46 by the critics, yes. 82 by the audience, people who went on to see it. The casual fans, whatever. But I still think for the majority of people were like, this was like the tipping point. Was like, well, it was passable. But it wasn't all that great either, right? And then of course people who want to try to use it as a, well, it's got Jonathan Majors in it, so of course it's going to be bad, right? No, I'm not gonna reek on him. I'm not gonna rake him over the coals for it because of that. Rake the movie over the coals for that because of him. I know that some people out there will. The thrill is gone. The Marvel universe shoots a blank, a tiny one. That's a good sentiment right there. The Marvel universe shoots a blank. The thrill is gone. When MODOK showed up, oi, that was, yeah. Talking about bad visual effects, and it didn't feel like it had any. The big climax, you didn't feel that punch, right? I wanted to feel that, and apparently it did have a different ending, right? Where he kills a variant of himself or something, right? He sacrifices himself to stay down there, right? I would have preferred to have seen that ending, and maybe it would have been a little bit better, because that means that he didn't really beat Kang, that they were kind of like at a stalemate sort of thing, right? And maybe that would have served it better, but the studios wanted them to definitively beat this version of Kang. And it was kind of like, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, number 3. There you go, guys. What did you think about that? Number 2, talking about being let down. Talk about being let down. One of my most anticipated movies of the year. No, I'm not a big hardcore Snyder fan. I think he's got talents, but this movie, Rebel Moon, is my number 2 pick, guys. Which means that yes, there is a movie out there worse than Rebel Moon. And I've seen 95 movies, guys. So look at my list down there, and you're thinking, well, how could Rebel Moon not be on the worst? It's because visually it had some good ideas in there. I think you saw it in my reaction that I just kind of like, I had this high hopes for it. and it didn't deliver. And a lot of it had to do with kind of like, again, using these green screen stages uh, didn't work for me. And I was championing Sofia Boutella going into this. I wanted her to have this big breakout role kind of thing, but her line delivery and some of it was cringeworthy, like terrible, awful. Like I'm sure she watched it and was like, "Why did you use that take?" And it's because either she's not a good actress, which I think she can be. I think she can be. This movie proved that she's not a leading actress, but it also proves this: does Zack Snyder understand acting? Does he know this? And based on this and from what I've seen, I would say no. He doesn't understand acting in his past work, which is a shame because he got good stuff out of Batista in Army of the Dead, which was my surprise. Which okay, fine, Batista's not a thespian, but you got and you shot it in such a way that when he saw his when he reacts to his family dying, um, they filmed it in such a way that okay, you played to his strengths, you got it right. Why couldn't you play to her strengths and get it right then, Zach? Because she's good at the action and stuff. She's good at doing the physicality, which is what I wanted to see out of this. Um, we knew that it was supposed to be based on Star Wars and stuff like that, and it was kind of like a mixture between Firefly and it was an attempt to be Dune with like the spider and stuff like this, which was Jenna Malone, by the way. This was Jenna Malone. Wow. Um, I like Jaimin Hansu in this, but this scene here was, she says, I don't have time for pity. Like I've used that in my review. It's cringeworthy. And the slow motion, the slow motion was so overused, it became mind numbing. It became an eye roll. It's like, hey, guys, and I said it in my review, we're sharp, we're fast. We can recognize a good shot when we see it. We don't need everything slowed down. And talking about going off in tangents, I forget what was going on with that Griffin scene. I don't remember. Like, did that serve a purpose? That whole thing was that whimsy? I don't know. Um, I just didn't feel invested. I didn't feel like I cared about these characters. So when certain things happen in the story, like twists and turns, betrayals maybe, I just kind of like, I saw that coming. I don't really care. Just that it's like, hey, and then they try to like they sort of defeat the bad guy or like sort of defeat the bad guy. Again, this is one of those movies that ends like this is part one. Ooh, we're starting something big here. Really? Who saw you defeat the bad guy? Why would this be a rallying point for this universe? And it's kind of like this is really not put together well. This is bad. Zach, sorry, dude. Uh, hey, at least it's on Netflix. At least it's a streaming thing because you know what? You were given a big budget and it was going straight on streaming, and they can quietly. I think Netflix can hide behind this one, right? They can be kind of like, yeah, um, not that good. Bifer says my guess for number one is The Marvels or Expendables 4. Ooh, we can talk about that. Uh, yeah. Okay, so Rebel Moon is number two, and I don't think that I'm I'm more with the critics on this one. 24% by critics, 61 by the audience. This will have the hardcore Snyder fans out there. You could watch a 90-minute movie of Zack Snyder filming himself on the toilet, and Snyder fans will be kind of like, "That's a masterpiece." You can't break through to those people, right? You can't. Um, Am I going to wait? James, you haven't seen the real movie yet. You haven't seen the real movie yet because there's the Snyder cut. It's going to be 4 hours, and it'll all make sense once you see that. But it's still part one of the movie, guys. What are you talking about? Why would a 4 hour cut of this make a difference to what the main story, right? How it's only going to augment a few things, right? When you think about Lord of the Rings, the extended 4 hour cuts of that, it only augmented things. It didn't really change the events of what happened. So I expect when I watch a Snyder cut of Rebel Moon, the same events will happen. It's just they're going to elaborate on stuff, right? And yes, it's probably going to be elaborating with a more slow motion. So it's kind of like, do I want to watch it? No. Will I watch part 2 when it comes out? Yes, just to get closure and a conclusion, to see if it maybe can redeem itself. And we will watch it here on Mirror Domains, the YouTube channel here in April. We will watch that. So there you go. Expendables 4. Let's address that, because that's one that will be on people's lists too. But we have to address it here because, again, Expendables, just like Fast 10 and, or sorry, just like Meg 2, Expendables 4 knew what it was. They knew that it was going to be kind of like schlocky, over the top action, right? Man, look at that shot, man. Green screen stage behind him. I was somebody who was paying attention and tracking how Expendables 4 was being received by other critics. And I, based on that, I was kind of like, aside from money, going to the theater to see the movies, you got to think about your time. What are we doing here? What am I doing here? I'm not going to watch Expendables 4. I'm smart enough to know that this is not 14% by critics. Yeah, this one's, I'm sorry. Maybe when it comes out on Tubi, I'll watch it. It's the third best out of 4, but better than Expendables 3, and that's very entertaining, really. Christy Lemire. It's just a huge waste of people with incredible talent. Yeah, and that's what I heard coming out, and I was like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm off this bandwagon. Because, as I said, other people weren't liking it. The appeal for me about the first Expendables movies is that they were bringing back all these big 80s, 90s action stars to be in this big kind of like Avengers-style movie. Unfortunately, with Expendables 4, I'm sorry, but 50 Cent, Uwas, and Ja, they're not big enough, guys. That's not big enough. And that draw and that appeal kind of went out. It was lost on me. Somebody else, Bifer says there, the Marvels is going to be on some people's lists. But I'm going to talk about the Marvels right now before we get to my number 1 pick. 61% by critics, 83% by the audience. I know that a lot of people really didn't like the dance singing scene. I actually found it charming. I don't really care about Monica Rambeau. I don't. I do like Brie Larson. I thought she was better in this movie than the other one. And I do like Miss Marvel. I binge watched the series before we went and watched the Marvels. And I found value in that. Now, the people that complain that, okay, I don't know who Miss Marvel is and I don't know who Monica Rambeau is. If you never watched WandaVision or Miss Marvel, yes, you'll be confused with what's going on. And those were the sentiments of a lot of people. So, and it sucks because I like the bad guy too, Zawe Ashton. I thought she was good. It just suffered from the same kind of formula. Here's the bad guy who gets defeated in one movie. It's not marvelous, yeah. But I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. So it's not on my worst list of the year. Are there any other movies out there that we should address before we get to my number 1? No, I don't think so. I think I already addressed Aquaman, right? That'll be up there for some people, but I liked Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because of that the brotherhood of Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. I liked that part of the story, and I would go watch that movie again because of that story. No, I would fast forward through some parts. Yes, I would. But it's not on the worst. Ooh, The Boys in the Boat's only 57%. This is that Clooney movie, right? Ooh. About the rowing team. I wanted to watch this one. Joel Edgerton. He's like the coach, right? Clooney just doesn't tell us enough about either the boys or the boat. Boys in the Boat drifts from one sports cliche to the next. Eesh! Yeah. Bummer. I know that's all playing right now. I haven't seen it. Let's get to the number one pick, my worst movie of the year. And it's a Netflix movie, guys. We know that Netflix movies can be hit or miss. And this one was a huge miss. In fact, to the point where they even faked a kiss between the couple of the movie with CGI, which sucks. Because I don't know why you did that. It had a good cast. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in this. And this is probably the most unfunny I've ever seen Eddie Murphy. So with a bullet, guys, number one is You People, that we did a full live reaction to here on the channel. 40% by critics, 34% by the audience. It wasn't funny. Zero laughs. As I said, Eddie Murphy, like there's scenes going on, like, yeah, it's supposed to be kind of like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner kind of thing, right? Like, but in reverse or something. The two families, like David Duchovny and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, are the parents of Jonah Hill. Who buys that? Who buys that? Who thinks that David Duchovny is Jonah Hill's father? Did I miss that, or what's going on here? And then Eddie Murphy and, was it Tiffany Haddish, or who is that? I can't remember. Yeah, Nia Long. Sorry, Nia Long. And Eddie Murphy, he doesn't do anything funny. He plays it so serious. What do you mean you're dating my daughter? He played it serious, and that sucked all the, like. Why are you doing that? This is supposed to be comedy, and it's not funny at all. And it's long, it's boring, and what the heck is going on? You People. If we weren't doing a full live watch along for it at the time, I would have shut it off halfway through. So there you go. You People. With a bullet. So let's pull up that list. We can review. Number 10 was The Exorcist Believer. Number 9 was Fast 10. Number 8 was Beau is Afraid. Number 7 was Napoleon. Number 6 was The Killer. Number 5, The Haunted Mansion. Number 4, Children of the Corn. Number 3, Ant-Man 3. Number 2, Rebel Moon. And number 1 was You People. And it's well deserved. Well deserved. Yeah, the ending. Fake kiss, huh? It wasn't good. Chicago Reader. The film is much more interesting in social embarrassment. Cringe. Yeah, it was cringe worthy. Like watching them. And you think they're trying to be funny, but it's kind of like, eh. And gags, that is any sort of close examination of how racism affects interracial couples. Yeah. Not very good, man. Not very good. Luckily, it came out in February or something, right? Eesh. Eesh. All right, guys. So that's my worst picks. My worst movies of the year. Are there any that I missed? Any that you think that should be on this list? Let me know your worst movies in the comments section below, and we will talk about it. All right. So, with that being said, am I done for this video? No, we are not. I think I'm going to record my Ferrari review. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I didn't like Leave the World Behind. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you said that, Bifer. Didn't like Ferrari. You didn't like Leave the World Behind. I liked aspects of Leave the World Behind. I like the I like some of the scenes in there where it was like just having two actors. Like, there's a good scene between Julia Roberts and Mahershala Ali where they thought, or I thought they were gonna like go down a road of infidelity, but they handled it very well. And then, of course, there's a number of scenes between Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts that work well. And I like that final tension scene with Kevin Bacon and Mahershala Ali, where he's kind of like, I have to do this to save my kid, kind of thing, right? I'm sorry, but I got to do that. I like that part. There are parts of it that I like, but if somebody were to complain about it being too long and dry and not giving us the big world-ending scenario that we wanted to see, I could see that as well, but I liked it enough. There was enough there for me to sink my teeth into that it was kind of like, I liked it. All right. So, just pulling up my documents for Ferrari. All right. Let's see if my review. Yep. Looks like we're ready to rock and roll. So I saw this movie last night. Got off work and I jumped into the theater. Yeah, sorry guys. I've been working for the last 4 days covering people's shifts because people are just taking time off because of the holidays, man. But it is what it is. All right. We're done. We're through that now. We're through that. Just going to go out for a dinner tonight and celebrate the new year with a bunch of friends. All right. We ready? We're ready. Let's do it. Ferrari is a new movie out in theaters, guys. It's directed by Michael Mann and stars Adam Driver, Penelope Cruz, and Shailene Woodley. It tells the story of Enzo